On today's video, we're going to be looking at the top 10 best Florida man news stories to come out of the Sunshine State. That's right, we're going to go to the Disneyland, Florida, but I'm not talking about Orlando. I'm talking about US 19. I'm talking about US 41, baby. I'm talking about the real Florida man stories. These are the craziest stories you're going to hear coming out of Florida in the year 2022. These are the people that made the news, the stories everybody in Florida is talking about. That's right, this is the Florida Man Olympics. These individuals had so much competition, but they came out on top because their Florida Man game was on point. And on today's video, this is the Florida Man Olympics. These are the top 10 best Florida man stories to come out of the Sunshine State, Florida. Number one is this Cuban fellow right here who came to the United States looking for work and opportunity. But when he found out that in the United States of America, you got to pay rent and you got to pay the electric bill and ain't nothing free to America, he decided to steal his formal boss's boat and just drive it to Cuba. So he went on an expedition, tracked down his old boss, found the boat, that's it right there in the Florida Keys, took the boat and made plans to leave Florida to go back to Cuba where the rent is free, where the electrical bill isn't in US dollars, paying bills, having a life, and working hard for your dreams. That was just too much out for this man. He stole a boat and tried to go back to Cuba. He is definitely the Florida Man of the Year, and he will be deported back to Florida at some point in the future because Cuba don't want this crap. He went on to steal a 40-foot fishing vessel, and when they tried to track it down because they had a tracker, the U.S. Coast Guard found the boat about 50 miles south of Key West. And the man was waving his arms for help because the boat had now been disabled. And he was almost to Cuba. So many Cubans tried so hard to come to the United States, but it's not for everybody. Sure wasn't for this guy. He's been arrested by the Monroe County Sheriff's Office with help of the Florida Wildlife Conservation. Talking about wildlife, number two is a woman from Bonita Springs, Florida, who was arrested for speeding through a checkpoint for hurricane relief efforts. Yes, there's a police checkpoint to keep people like her away from the areas that are not safe. But deputies at the Hickory Boulevard and Hughes Point checkpoint in Bonita Springs noticed that a woman neglected to stop. She charged right through the barricade of police officers and other military equipment at about 12:30 in the morning, leading to a pursuit which she drove back, pulled a U-turn, and came back to get arrested and earn her spot on the Florida Man Olympics. Definitely a gold medalist Florida participant. We're not going to discriminate women here. Women are also Florida Man, and she definitely earned her spot in the Florida Man Olympics for 2022. But that's not all. Apparently, she was trying to make a point about her rights and her freedom right before her freedom was taken away by Jacksonville officers. Jacksonville Police Department gave us some of their men to help secure Southwest Florida. I'm pretty sure they need these men in Jacksonville more than they need them here. But at the end of the day, I'm sure in Jacksonville they've seen some scary stuff, but nothing prepared these officers for what they were going to see as the woman took a selfie to post it on social media because she did it all for the clout. These Jacksonville police officers might have thought they would get away from clout chasing criminals by coming to Southwest Florida for a little bit. Nah, buddy, it ain't just a Duval. Full mind. Talking about Jacksonville, number three, a silver medalist in the Florida Man Olympics. This is a double package. These two bright men right here from Duval, Jacksonville, Florida area engaged in some road rage, in which resulted in both of them using their constitutional rights on each other, and both of them hurt each other's family members. Shake my head. This has got to be some of the most senseless stupidity that I have ever witnessed in the state of Florida. And this is one of those news reports that everybody in Florida has been talking about, going to show how stupid some people can feel when you give them an opportunity, like holding a piece, dog, a blink. When I say they're family members, they both had young daughters. And it just goes to show how people just don't think. I mean, a stupid road raging incident with two stupid hot-headed people, they're going to be spending a lot of time in the Duval County Correctional. I don't know what it's called, but their incident caught the attention of many law enforcement agencies in Florida who were very indignant at what these two idiots did. Number 4, a copper medalist. This man, his actual name is Danger. What news story out of Florida, Florida man, does not include Hialeah? Hialeah is always a contender for these top 10 Florida man lists because Hialeah, Newport Richey, crap, the whole Pasco County are Florida man central. In the beautiful Miami suburb of Hialeah, Danger was running a medical office, quite literally a clandestine, practicing medicine clandestinely in the streets of Hialeah. Son, this was a whole operation. He had a whole house rigged up, patients, doctors. This was a real freaking clinic being run out of his private crib in Hialeah. That's how you know rents in Hialeah are getting expensive, when you gotta run a dang clinical office out of your garage. This is not the wildest thing we've heard of Hialeah. I used to tell you guys a story about one time I ended up in a clandestine DNV in the Hialeah area. This was many, many years ago, but it is not uncommon for people in Hialeah to turn a residential property into a full-on hospital. I'm talking with helicopter pads and everything. If there's a way to make $1 in Hialeah, but best believe somebody's gonna find a way. I don't know if I will let somebody with the name of Danger operate on me out of somebody's garage in Hialeah, but if you just can't get that good health insurance in Florida, I ain't gonna tell you I got to connect because I'm Cuban, but hey, I'm just saying it's out there. It's something that exists out there. That was a joke, because I know later on time I'm gonna have an email like, hey, Jose, yo, man, hook me up, Poppy. Who's this guy you talking about, Poppy? My leg has been hurting, Poppy. Number 5 is an insulated copper medalist. We go to Lee County, Florida. That's right, the Faux Man. Now, while the people of Hialeah are trying to help their fellow Hialean get better, this man in Lee County found a way that he could have hurt the community while lining his pockets. We've all heard the stereotype that it's very hard to get money out of Haitians. Well, this guy right here is an entrepreneur, man. He said, you know what? I can't just get $1 out of Haitian. I'm going to take all their money. This guy is, how they would say in Creole, a volé. Papa volé. He is paressé and he is volé. He went around to the churches in Southwest Florida, in the Fort Myers and Naples area, pitching game about how they should invest in his little scheme. Turns out he was just pocketing their money. Now, my question is, what type of church lets a random person walk in and do a sales pitch for some type of promotional product? I feel there's a lot of community responsibility on how these organizations gave this man the platform so he can run these schemes. It seems like they need to start looking up to better people in their community and not letting people like this have access to the organizations in the community. Turns out, no surprise, he was making money disappear. He was running the Houdini tax service. At the end of the day, he made a Houdini move and made the money disappear. And I've seen a lot of these YouTubers go on the internet talking about if you give them your money, they're going to invest with you. A lot of the time, all these investment things are all a bunch of scams. And he gave people, hardworking people of Southwest Florida, let me tell you that you're not going to find too many paressé Haitians. The vast majority of the Haitians in Southwest Florida are hardworking, good people, and the last thing they deserve is to be swindled by a piece of crap like him. But he's made the list because he is an entrepreneur, despite the fact he ain't worth crap, taking advantage of the good, hardworking people of Southwest Florida. He is still an entrepreneur because, man, it is hard to get $1 out of a Haitian, and he got hundreds of thousands of dollars out of the Haitian community. Let me just tell you, there's gonna be some retaliation. This guy's he's gonna have to find somewhere else to live because as long as you take $1 from a Haitian, oh, best believe they're gonna put interest on this guy. The Haitian people is a good community. Ça passe, naboule. I love you guys. And let me tell you, it's very shameful this guy would take advantage of these good people in the community. I don't know what his sales pitch was. It might have been something like, oh, Papa, you love money. Oh, Papa, I'm gonna make you money. I don't know about playing with Haitian people's money. This guy went a little bit too far. I used to work with a Haitian guy, and he would always remind me, Jose, you play with my money, it's like you play with my emotions. I'm sure he's in the Lee County motel, the Marcino motel right now, washing underwear for people, trying to pay off his debt to the Haitian community. This really doesn't seem like that crazy of a story, but people are talking about this in Florida. They're waking up to the idea that one, there's a lot of scams out there, and most of them are targeted towards wealthy people from other states. You rarely see something within like the real small communities and stuff of Southwest Florida, but there's people out there definitely looking to swindle the hardworking people. Shame on them. The notion that you're gonna rip off a bunch of Haitian people and you're gonna get to live or see any type of reward from that, it's just a bad idea. Definitely a Florida Man candidate. Number 6 is a number 2 insulated copper Metalist. This guy right here, we're gonna go all the way to Volusia County for a new story that was very interesting. This man was apparently and allegedly naked in the woods picking palmetto berries when he saw a surveyor, a hardworking surveyor, and he decided to use his machete, that's Creole for machete, to rob the surveyor and take his uniform because at the end of the day, he wasn't wearing anything. While the surveyor did cooperate with the demands, the man still used the machete to go on an attack. He also threw berries at him. But to step it up a notch, there's even a helicopter footage of the man's flee and his arrest. He definitely made it into the Florida Man Olympics. Let me tell you, machete and Florida Man go hand in hand, or should I say in the hand of Florida Man goes a machete. However you want to poetically explain the situation, machetes are always part of Florida Man because, you know, you can just pull something else that's just too easy. Florida Man likes to make it nice and personal for you with something that does the same thing, but in a much more brutal fashion. At the end of the day, the surveyor, I guess, was stripped of his clothes by a guy in the woods who was picking palmetto berries. Very embarrassing story. And I'm sure he will not like to continue being a surveyor. And if he does continue to be a surveyor, when he's out there with those stakes and stuff, he might want to carry his own machete because I guess you can't really blame the Florida Man for taking his clothes when, you know, you were out there unarmed. You should have known if you're out there in the savage swamps of Florida in Volusia County, you gotta have protection because at any moment, the safety of the woods does not exist in Florida. There's a lot of homeless people. Some of them are just sitting there naked, waiting for somebody to pass by to take their clothes. That's Florida. I know that sounds like something out of a third world country, but that's what's happening in the beautiful sunshine state of Florida. And machetes are always a huge, huge component of the Florida Man character. I've made videos warning people about going into the woods in Florida because of this same exact situation. And I had somebody tell me that it wasn't true, so I made another reply video with this news article just so you could believe me. At the end of the day, I've been warning people not only not to go in the woods, I've been warning people not to go in Florida. Number 7, talking about machetes. Naples is one of the best sources of high quality, uninterrupted Florida Man. If you're looking for an authentic Florida Man, you will find him in Naples, Florida. Now, this man was actually found guilty in Collier County, Florida, for letting a dispute with a co-worker at a landscaping company turn hood. He decided whatever offense his co-worker said warranted walking back to the truck and picking up the good old Florida Man handbook, the machete. He went on to handle that situation like a man from Cuba. And he le metió tremendos plan de machete al tipo porque es un come basura, un falta de respeto, un tipo de eso, no hablando conmigo, no, hacerle, y le metió un machetazo. Unfortunately, that was not the right way to handle a working dispute. But this guy, fresh off of Cuba or something, tremenda guapería, y le dijo al tipo, oye, conmigo no, papi. And he got himself a case. All over a workplace dispute. By the way, a landscaping company in Naples usually pays about $10, $14 an hour, but according to this guy, it was worth getting a machete involved. So if you're in Naples, Florida, and you're wearing one of these crazy looking Cubans and they want to start an argument with you about something, just keep it nice and sweet, because all it takes a Florida man to pull out the piece is disrespect. I cannot tell you enough how much you need to not disrespect people in Florida if they look like they just came off a boat like this guy did, because el tipo era guapo y le metió una pila planazo machete, and he has a story to tell. And let me tell you, in the Clark County Jail, if you have a story about going in there and it involves using a machete porque eres un tipo guapo, I'm pretty sure when you get out, man, you're just going to be like, you're going to be a top dog, because el tipo guapo, man. He already, forget about putting in some work on the inside. This guy's putting work on the outside, baby. El tipo es guapo, and he did what he had to do, papi. Not sure if he's going to have his job at the landscaping company when this is all over and done, but he handled it like a man from a third world country. Number 8 is also in Naples, Florida. This guy is an aluminum shreddable metalist. This guy was in Naples, Florida, and he had a little bit of the F powder on him. Yeah, the really bad one. And he ventured into a porta potty. What could go wrong? He ended up getting trapped inside the porta potty and started to scream, which led to the police being called, which led to him being arrested, which led to the police finding that he had a little baggie, and inside the baggie, a substance that we know is horrendously bad. That's a very shameful and embarrassing way to get arrested. So while the Cuban guy with the machete might have got a lot of clout and a lot of respect in the county jail, I don't think this guy's story is going to get anything more than a good laugh. But in Naples, Florida, even going to a porta potty can lead to a Florida man situation. Hey, you don't pick the Florida life picks you. And let me just say, the city of Naples produces some of the best Florida man stories year after year. Number 9 is a dirty aluminum metalist. When I say dirty, I mean this is a dirty contender. So this woman in Perry, Florida, if you don't know about Perry, Florida, you're doing very good in life. It's a little country town in North Florida where people have pigs as pets instead of dogs. In this little quiet country town at a Christian school, this quote-unquote teacher started to pop some Cardi B moves for her students. Now, these students were not middle school or high school students who were ready to watch this defiant act. That's right. No words can describe what the community must think about this woman, who apparently must have been popping them things and went up in there and started to do some Cardi B moves in front of her classroom, her Christian classroom. Let me just tell you, you try to put your kids in the best school and in the best towns, and I guess the people of Perry, Florida have failed in both of those categories. And if you're seeing another trend here of misappropriation happening in the wrong places, you'll see that there's a few trends with Florida men or women. Some of them include teaching, some of them include machetes, others include community organizations. Whatever the scenario, Florida man has a protocol. While news articles contradict each other on exactly what she did, some people say there was text messages involved, other people say there was a prom, other people say these were actually teenagers, other people say there was also beverages involved. Whatever the scenario, this woman did some Cardi B moves in a place of education turned into a place. Okay, that would have rhymed, but my producer Katie said you can't put that word on YouTube. I'll just have to find something else that rhymes with education that would have finished my sentence. At the end of the day, while there are conflicting stories about what happened, this teacher is no longer a teacher. She's definitely a formal teacher. Formal? No, not very informal. Former, not formal. I can do this. A former teacher. There we go. Firmer. She was definitely firm. Okay. All right. Enough with the jokes. You get the idea. Very misappropriated. Definitely no longer a teacher, but she may have discovered other talents. I'm sure there's somewhere else out there where her expertise can could be put to better use in society, and it's definitely not around children. There's a place right down US 19 in Newport Richey that might give her employment. Just send her back down the road a little bit. Number 10 is a white goods Metalist. That's what we call unclean steel here in Florida. Turns out that the candidate this year for Pasco County is a little disappointing. Seems like Pasco County needs to get their Florida game up, because today they're on the list, but I was disappointed that I wasn't able to find any good Florida man stories coming out of Pasco County. Well, this man that we saw right here in the photo, he skipped all the local levels of law enforcement and hopped on into the feds. He had some trailer park ingenuity going on in the rural parts of Pasco County. In a trailer park somewhere, this man crafted a device, homemade type of device that goes kaboom. That's right. And in the process, luckily, the device ended in the hands of an undercover informant, not in the hands of a... I just lost like 4 subscribers saying that. I'm sure there was an undercover out there. He was looking for a pipe. He was like, "Hey man, I scored a pipe with you, bro." And this guy was like, "You want one to blow up a little bit, or you want one to blow up a whole lot? Because I've crafted this thing right here in my trailer park." It's hard to think that if it wasn't for undercover police officers out there working hard to find people like this, that people were actually making these things in their trailer park garages and selling them to complete strangers. According to the arrest report, he had no idea to care about the ideology or the reason why this person needed a thing to go kaboom. He just sold it to him. We all got that red friend that tells you stuff like, "Jose, I got somebody to just for that problem. Like, I know a guy, I literally know a guy that can fix that problem for you." It's like whatever crazy thing you need. There's a guy in a trailer park somewhere in America that your redneck friend knows that will make anything happen. And luckily, this time it was in the hands of law enforcement, and this man will have to probably explain to them how he made it and why he's selling completely dangerous crap to complete strangers. No real explanation why this is the best contender I could find for Pasco County. Y'all gotta step up your Florida game. But maybe people in this area have a fascination with fireworks. Who knows? At the end of the day, definitely that is their contender, and I feel like they could have done better. But it just gives you an idea of the things that are happening in the backwoods in Florida. Somewhere in a trailer park in Pasco County, guys making this thing go boom. You know the situation in Florida is bad when Cubans are going back to Florida. Okay, and if you think my comment there about a was a little bit insensitive, I just want you to know that if you read the police reports, they were really concerned with the ideology, because that's a contributing part of their arrest. Is like, what ideology did the person have? Kind of get into very specific things they're looking out for. And it didn't seem like this guy was like, "I don't care where he's from. If he's got $20, man, I'll sell it to him." And that's kind of why that ideology comes into play there. Can't really get into specifics, but that's just kind of pointing you in the right direction there. Apparently, if he had sold it to Billy and Billy was just going to blow up an old Bronco in his backyard or something for a YouTube video, it's kind of different than selling it to Ahmed over there. So that played a huge, like the intent is really the big thing with this type of arrest. It's like the fact that he didn't really care who was getting it. All right, let's do a little bit of lawyer talk. I leave it for the end of the video because who wants to hear this crap? All parties, all Florida man and Florida woman in this video are considered innocent until proven guilty by a terribly horrible Florida court system. Everything that I say is my personal opinion. I'm not stating these things as facts. In fact, I've exaggerated a few of these stories just to make them sound interesting. Everything that I voice here is my personal opinion, and that's about all you need to know. No association disclaimer, personal opinion disclaimer. I hate to have to do this, but that's the time we're living in. I wouldn't want Florida man come out here looking for me with his lawyer. And there it is. Those are the top 10 Florida man stories of the year that people in Florida are scratching their heads wondering, what the crap were you thinking? Or how Grady Judd would tell you, maybe they weren't thinking at all. But whether they were thinking or not, these Florida men and women are going to have time to think about whatever the crap They did. If you live in Florida, you're gonna run into these Florida man situations. Like this year, I was headbutted by a crazy homeless man in Fort Myers Beach, out of all places. Everybody's wondered whatever happened to the headbutting Fort Myers Beach guy. Did he survive Hurricane Ian? Is he still out there headbutting people in Fort Myers Beach, or is he headbutting people somewhere else in Florida? I don't know exactly where he's headbutting people, but I hope he's okay, even though, well, he headbutted me with his infected head, and I did have an infection on my head afterwards for like 2 weeks. Luckily, I've been able to get rid of that. And whatever you do, don't try to be a hero like this man in this red pickup truck who pulled up. He probably has it on him, and he thought he was going to be a hero. And when he saw how crazy the guy looked, well, he changed his mind really quickly about being a hero. In fact, he even hit a curb. He was just like, I'm out of here. Yeah, he wanted to be a hero, but then he realized, yeah, it just wasn't worth getting into that one. So don't try to be a hero when you run into Florida man. Run away, don't confront, and at the end of the day, you never know when you're going to have a Florida man moment. I actually had my Florida man moments. Me and Kay were driving down the Interstate 75, and there's a guy playing golf on the side of the road. We're driving along 75 in Sarasota County, or Charlotte County. You can see the guy on the right was playing golf on the side of the road. I guess somebody sent it to the local news, and we actually ended up on the local news with an interesting story about this guy playing golf on the side of the road. It was a really hilarious news article. If you saw it, you might want to comment about it. But anyways, yeah, you can definitely have a Florida man moment in your own personal real life, and that was my Florida man moment. Captured something interesting on the side of the road, and you'll see all types of crazy stuff in the side of the roads in Florida. By the way, if you live in Florida, what is the craziest thing you've ever seen just driving around town? I know I've seen some crazy stuff just going to the grocery store. That's Florida.